It's a strange truth, isn't it? As you climb higher, the more stones seem to get thrown your way. It's almost predictable.
Yeah, it really is.
But what if our ingrained reaction to that barrage is the actual hurdle, not the stones themselves?
That's a fascinating flip of the script. For millennia, clear thinkers have been wrestling with this dynamic. Think about the Stoics, people like Marcus Aurelius, an emperor dealing with constant, well, political stuff, and Epictetus, who went from slavery to being this profound philosopher. They weren't strangers to intense criticism, believe me, yet their methods for navigating it, they still resonate really deeply today.
Absolutely. And what's so counterintuitive is their initial stance. Often it was just like simple acknowledgement, maybe even thankfulness. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you imagine that being your first response to negativity?
That's powerful.
So in this conversation, we're going to explore this ancient but surprisingly modern approach. The Stoic art of not just weathering criticism, but actually transforming it, turning it into a powerful source of inner strength.
Okay, so let's unpack why this uptick in criticism often comes with achievement. From a Stoic view, it's almost like a shadow of impact. If you're not putting ideas out there, if you're not aiming for something significant, you're unlikely to attract much attention at all, good or bad.
Right.
So in a way, criticism can be a signal, maybe a distorted one, that you're actually making a difference, that you're relevant somehow.
It's a tough pill to swallow when you're the one getting it, but the logic holds up. If you're not in the arena, you won't hear the jeers. And the Stoics also saw criticism, even the really stinging kind, as a form of, well, unsolicited feedback.
Exactly.
Now, it might be delivered terribly or be completely off base, but sometimes within all that noise, there can be a little nugget of insight, a blind spot you haven't seen yourself.
Like if someone keeps pointing out the same thing, even if their tone is way off, you might think, okay, is there something there worth looking at?
Yeah, could there be?
Precisely. It takes a certain detachment, to sift through the emotional stuff, but the potential for self-awareness, for growth, it's there. However, and this is really fundamental to Stoic thinking, while we can't control what others say or do,
Right.
our reactions, they are entirely within our control. Epictetus put it perfectly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that truly matters.
Yeah.
That's the space where we really have agency.
And it's interesting how this lines up with modern research. There was a Harvard study, I think, indicating high achievers actually get about 3 times more criticism than average performers.
Wow, 3 times.
Yeah. And the key difference wasn't that they didn't get negative feedback, but their ability to process it without it becoming, a personal attack or defining their worth. They didn't internalize it in the same way.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Think about historical figures who really shook things up, or even people today in very public roles. They consistently face intense scrutiny, sometimes just blatant negativity. And while their situations vary hugely, that basic challenge handling external pressure without being consumed by it, that echoes these core Stoic ideas.
So accepting that criticism is often part of the deal and might even have some weird upside. How did the Stoics actually train themselves? How did they handle those critical voices when they start getting loud?
Well, the Stoics developed several really potent mental techniques. One particularly valuable one is often called the view from above. So when you get hit with criticism that really stings, try to create some mental distance. Zoom out.
Okay.
Consider the long-term impact of this specific comment or attack. Ask yourself, will this matter much next week, next month? And crucially, will it have any real weight in 10 years? Often, just gaining that wider time perspective can drastically shrink the immediate emotional hit. It reframes the current upset in a much bigger picture.
Right. It's like looking down at a busy street from way up high. What seemed like chaos down there suddenly looks, well, smaller, less significant.
Exactly, that kind of perspective shift. Another fascinating Stoic strategy is the antidote technique. This involves actively thinking about the worst possible insults or criticisms someone could throw at you.
That sounds a bit grim.
It might sound a bit morbid, yeah, but the idea is to mentally prepare yourself so that when actual criticism arrives, maybe it doesn't have the same power to wound you. It's like a form of preemptive inoculation.
Ah, okay. Like getting a shot against the flu.
Kind of. Marcus Aurelius actually built this into his daily routine, reflecting on potential negativity.
Yeah.
By mentally rehearsing it, he built resilience against the emotional sting. It's about desensitization through conscious practice.
Okay.
Then there's a more active discerning approach. Let's call it the 3-filter test. Before you even think about replying to criticism, run it through these 3 questions. Is it actually true?
Filter 1.
Is it genuinely helpful? Does it offer anything constructive?
Filter 2.
And is it delivered with kindness, or at least good intention?
Filter 3. Okay. I like this one because it gives you a real framework, something concrete. So if the criticism fails on any of those, if it's false, if it's just mean and offers nothing useful, or if it's clearly malicious.
Then the Stoic advice is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Dismiss it, disregard it, move your attention to something more productive.
Yeah.
Don't waste your mental energy on stuff that doesn't pass the test.
Right. Just delete and move on, mentally speaking.
Pretty much. And finally, we get to the one that sounds paradoxical, the thank you mindset.
Yeah, this is the one I mentioned earlier.
Right. And this isn't about faking gratitude to people being nasty. It's more about cultivating an internal stance of, like, resilience and detachment. Seneca put it wisely. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy, but responding to negativity with more negativity. It just keeps a bad cycle going. Sometimes the strongest response is simply silence, or even just an internal nod, acknowledging that, okay, this criticism, however unpleasant, might actually be strengthening me, or it shows I'm having an impact. It's about refusing to let their negativity set your internal thermostat.
That makes sense. And building on that idea of letting go, there's a practical tip some modern Stoics suggest. When those critical comments are just looping in your head, try physically writing them down on paper and then actually burn the paper.
Interesting. A bit ritualistic.
Yeah, but the physical act of destroying it can give a surprisingly strong sense of closure. It helps break that mental obsession, that rumination cycle. It's a tangible way to externalize and then just release those thoughts.
That's a neat trick. And it's crucial to remember these aren't just dusty old philosophical ideas. Lots of accomplished people, historically and right now, have used these Stoic principles, sometimes without even calling them that. We'll take Kobe Bryant, for instance. He was famous for his intense focus, right? Yeah. And he clearly used criticism as fuel. There are stories about him actually writing thank you notes to people who doubted him.
Seriously, thank you notes.
Yeah. Using their negativity to push himself even harder towards excellence.
Wow. That's actively turning it into power. Then you've got someone like Tim Ferriss navigating the wild west of the internet. His approach to online negativity is very direct. He talks about blocking trolls fast, minimizing exposure to that kind of toxic stuff. He calls it digital hygiene.
Digital hygiene, I like that. It's a modern take on the Stoic idea of guarding what you let into your mind, right? Protecting your inner state.
Exactly. And consider Ryan Holiday. He's done a lot to bring Stoicism to a wider audience today.
He's a great writer.
He's talked openly about getting negative feedback on his early books, but instead of getting derailed,
he used it.
Yeah, he channeled it into learning, refining his work, and ended up writing more very successful books. He basically redirected the energy from that negativity into something productive and creative.
So the common thread here, it seems, isn't about dodging criticism entirely. That's probably impossible if you're trying to do anything meaningful.
Right. Seems unlikely.
The real key seems to be how you process it internally, how you consciously choose your response, and ultimately how you might even redirect that energy constructively.
Precisely. It's like you said earlier, you can't control the external weather, the criticism that comes your way, but you absolutely have the power to choose your internal coat.
Yeah, your mindset, your reaction, that internal resilience, that's what the Stoics were really aiming for.
This has been incredibly helpful, really practical stuff. And to help you, our listener, start putting these ideas into practice, we've cooked up something we're calling the 7-Day Stoic Hater Challenge.
Ooh, a challenge. I like it.
It's a simple, actionable way to begin building a more resilient mindset when you face criticism.
Okay, so what does it involve? There are 3 steps. First, for 1 whole week, make a conscious effort just to observe your initial reaction to any criticism you encounter, big or small. Practice noticing that emotional flare-up without immediately acting on it. Just notice.
Step 1, observe, don't react immediately. Got it. What's step 2?
Step 2, each evening during that week, take a few minutes to reflect, maybe journal about it. When you think about any criticism you got that day, shift your focus a bit. Instead of just dwelling on how bad it felt, ask yourself, okay, hang on. Is there any truth here? Is there anything I can actually learn or improve from this feedback, even if it was delivered badly? Look for those potential blind spots we talked about.
Right. Find the potential nugget, even if it's buried in negativity.
Okay.
And the final step.
And finally, step 3. As you finish the week, this one might be the most transformative. Try to identify at least one person in your life who you kind of see as a consistent hater or a major critic. Then, either just silently in your own mind Or even directly if, and only if, you feel it's appropriate and safe for, you offer them a quiet thank you.
A thank you. Really?
Yeah, again, it's not about saying their behavior was okay. It's about acknowledging, maybe just to yourself, that their criticism, indirectly, might have pushed you to strengthen your resolve or learn something unexpected. It's about taking back your power over the situation.
That's a powerful reframe. So think of navigating criticism like dealing with the weather. You
Yeah.
can't control the rain, the sun, the wind,
Oh,
but you always, always choose what you wear. You can choose to stand there and get soaked by the negativity, or you can choose to put on that coat of stoic resilience and just navigate the storm with composure, maybe even with a sense of purpose.
exactly. Ultimately, adopting this stoic view on criticism isn't about becoming some kind of unfeeling robot.
Right.
It's about cultivating an unshakable inner core, a mindset that lets you stay focused on your values, your goals, no matter what noise is happening outside. It's about turning those potential stumbling blocks into stepping stones on your path.